Hey, are you guys ready for a new superhero deep dive? I bet you are, because you're tuning in. Welcome to a new episode of Superhero Deep Dive. As always, I am your host, Jason, and I have a new and pretty cool episode lined up. I was kind of excited with the way this one spiraled out. I can't wait to share it. Let me get my disclaimers out of the way and we'll get into it. So the information is pulled from different sources across the internet and may or may not be completely complete, but they do give a really good insight on the current superhero. You can also catch me every Tuesday and Thursday throughout the day on Outworld Fleet Radio. They're an awesome online station. Their website is outworldfleetradio.online. You can catch me on Twitter and Instagram under Super Deep Dive. You can catch me on TikTok under Superhero Deep Dive. I'm also on YouTube under Superhero Deep Dive. Please comment, like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Hit the notification bell. Help me grow the channel, especially if you have fun facts you'd like to share, your ideas for the character, or requests for future episodes. And if you don't want to do any of those, you can always catch me via email at b4itall, so b4itall@yahoo.com. Alright. I know I keep saying Twitter. I need to change that to X because it's X now. I gotta change my template for these write-ups. All right, but anyway, superhero fun fact first. The original version of Superman, the original version of the Man of Steel, couldn't fly. That's absolutely correct. Instead, he could only leap over tall buildings in a single bound. That's where that intro came from. It wasn't until the 1940s when the animators of the Superman cartoon requested for him to have flying powers. I guess it just made the storylines progress a little bit easier if he could fly wherever he needed to be instead of just running real fast and jumping over things. Alright, now, we covered that. We're in the DC universe. Let's talk about Animal Man. He is this obscure character. He's had like series runs. He's been integral in things. But there's just, I don't know, at least on my endpoint, I barely heard anything about him. I would see him in the background, but there just wasn't, he was just never a part of my life. And I kind of miss that. Alright, his real name is Buddy Baker. Now, if I saw his name was Buddy Baker, it's probably made me skip over anything with him because I probably wouldn't have caught my interest. But anyways, he gained animal powers when he encountered a spaceship that blew up, infusing him with radiation. He used his powers to fight crime and ward off alien attackers. He then joined the Forgotten Heroes group prior to the Crisis on Infinite Earths. He was seen with this group during the Crisis. Okay. Now, Buddy Baker's post-crisis origin was slightly altered at this point, but it retained the essence of the original. While hunting as a teenager, he encountered a crashed spaceship that apparently endowed him with his abilities, and the slight discrepancies of the two stories were addressed as pre-crisis and post-crisis origins. That's kind of a thing that DC Comics has. You just kind of have to run with it. And Doctor Who fans are fine with it too, I'm sure, because it's all timey-wimey stuff. It's just what DC Comics does. When they revamp their universes, you go with it. Alright, but they were acknowledged in story with the original Buddy Baker appearing and not wishing to be written out of existence. After an apparent unsuccessful stint as a superhero, followed by a hiatus where he utilized his powers to work as a film stuntman, Buddy Baker decided to restart and make a career of it after being inspired by the headline-making Justice League Internationals. And this is where his self-titled series actually begins. Now, he gets married to his high school sweetheart Ellen, which is awesome, a storyboard artist, and later an illustrator for children's books. They have two children, Cliff and Maxine, who are preteen and toddler respectively when the series starts, and they live in a suburban area outside of San Diego. Now, throughout the series, Animal Man becomes a man of great compassion towards all creatures, an ardent animal rights activist, an environmentalist, and a vegetarian. Which kind of makes sense, because, I mean, Beast Boy covered it in Teen Titans, too, you know? It's like, he can be these characters, why is he going to eat them? So he becomes a vegetarian. I wonder if this is vegan or just, like, the lacto-ovo vegetarian. I wonder what the limits are, because there are degrees, right? I don't know. My favorite food is steak, so I don't know. And later, he finds his link to the M field has been passed on to his daughter, Maxine, who is also connected to the animal kingdom. The M field is the animal kingdom, basically. Although he wears a mask, he goes to no great lengths to conceal his true identity. A jacket was added to Animal Man's costume so he could have pockets and a place to put his keys, as well as notes from his wife. As someone that has been married a while, that is awesome. That's awesome. It sounds lame, it's awesome. However, his jacket was denim and not a leather jacket. But he specifically discusses that he will not wear leather out of moral considerations. It makes sense. It makes sense. He's an animal guy. Alright. As early aspects of the character was his desire for fame, and is manifested by his wish to be in the Justice League. He is initially driven by a desire for the publicity from interviews and public appearances more than any real heroic impulses. Buddy joins the newly formed Justice League Europe and bonds with Dimitri of the Rocket Reds over the shared experiences of being fathers. He soon resigns, though, due to tragic events taking place later in the series. After a brief period of reconditioning and exploration of his limits, Buddy Baker's first work is a job from Star Labs investigating a break-in at an animal testing facility. He traces it to the hero Bwana Beast, whom he is able to befriend and aid. The conditions he witnesses at the testing facilities compel him to become vegetarian, a sudden decision that briefly puts him at odds with his family. Baker also becomes a staunch animal rights activist and goes on several missions with environmental themes. So let me ask you, if any of my listeners, if you are vegetarian, did this cause a conflict with your family? Because, I mean, and I get it. I dated a vegetarian, if that's what you wanted to call her. You know, it was really difficult going out, but she ate a lot of cheese. I don't know. She ate a lot of cheese, so we constantly had Italian. And but I also know I have a lot of friends that are vegetarians, and they make some amazing meals that are vegetarian that you would not realize you were missing out on meat with. So, but as someone that is a vegetarian, and I'm not saying me, I'm saying you, if your family wasn't, was it hard to come out to them, and how did that impact you? Let me know in the comments. Like, please, that'd be awesome. I'd love to hear it. Alright, anyways. During his further adventures, he experiences glitches with his powers. He also begins experiencing evidences of his existence within a comic book, although he does not immediately understand them for what they are. It makes me kind of wonder if he had his comic book sense before Deadpool had his comic book sense. Because if that's the case, then Deadpool isn't as original as we thought, right? I don't know. I like Deadpool, but, you know, I don't know. Alright. Anyways. Let's see here. Alright. He is targeted for murder by a mysterious organization upset with his environmental work, and must face the new Mirror Master. So he gets into the Flash villains, I guess. Baker is also pursued by Dr. James Highwater, a physicist with no memory of any prior existence and seemingly no purpose other than to contact Baker. Yet he's a scientist. Okay. or physicists, I'm sorry. Anyways, a parallel story involves a pair of yellow aliens described as agents of some unspecified higher power that engineered the spaceship wreck that granted his powers. They're aware of the events of the crisis and monitor Baker's actions. They're also aware of a second crisis coming, which they believe that only Animal Man can avert. They reconcile the two variations of Animal Man's origins through an unexplained surgery that also extends his abilities. Elsewhere, in Arkham Asylum, the Psycho Pirate, aware of continuity and his fictional environment, opens a gateway into the real world and other comic book realities and begins bringing several characters no longer in continuity into existence. So this whole thing sounds a lot like the writers were fully aware that this was going to be lame, so they just had fun and they were like, let's throw every kind of lame comic trope into this. I don't know. I mean, it just looks like it's one of those movies that are so bad they're good. It seems like this, like that storyline is so bad it was good. Just because it ends up mocking things. Anyways, Buddy Baker is demoralized. However, when firefighters are injured in a laboratory blaze started by activists that he was working with, he's approached by Dr. Highwater just as he decides to give up his costumed identity. While away on a vision quest with Highwater, in which he learns the true nature of his powers and briefly sees the comic reader, Baker's family is brutally murdered by an assassin sent by the corporate heads seeking to stop his environmental work. With the help of the Mirror Master, who had ended up turning down the assassination, Baker tracks down the businessman and assassin and kills them. While trying to undo his family's death with the time machine, Baker accidentally becomes warped through time and meets the Phantom Stranger, Jason Blood, who is Etrigan, which we did a deep dive on, and the Immortal Man in the 1960s, who help him learn to accept his grief. Baker is then contacted by the aliens and taken to Arkham, where he stops the Psycho Pirate and prevents damage to the continuity. Baker is later transported to Limbo and encounters several comic book characters who were not being used in stories. Ultimately, Baker encounters his own writer, Grant Morrison, and the two share a conversation on the relationship between the creator and the fictional realm or characters whose lives they write. After this encounter, Baker is sent back home to his family and they're restored back to life. It's left ambiguous as to whether or not Baker still remembers the full nature of these events or not. So it could have just been a one-shot story. It could have just been Grant Morrison having fun with, like, you know, if they're going to put this kind of situation on me, I'm going to take full advantage of it. Alright, anyways, next, after falling into a coma, because that's what happens, Buddy finds himself in a strange alternative reality, which he correctly deduces is a divergent phase of existence, and is then able to return home. And that's that. That's all that he has to say about that. Alright, having since left the Justice League, Buddy Baker resumes his stunt work career. He also finds himself frequently displaying uncontrolled animalistic behavior. He's assaulted by a neighbor, Travis Cody, a burnout with a PhD in electronic engineering from MIT. Cody has deduced that Baker's powers have become skewed, and that unfocused usage of his abilities kills animals. I'm not really sure how, but maybe it sucks any kind of nearby animal life energy? I'm not sure. Alright. After reaching an understanding, the two work together to measure and enhance Animal Man's powers. They are themselves targeted by a group of shamans, one of whom was present at Animal Man's origin, and who are aware of the yellow aliens and the writer. During this time, Baker's daughter Maxine begins demonstrating powers similar to his own and is able to communicate with the head shaman, who is attempting to bring Baker to him. Star Labs again contacts Baker, offering a position as their spokesman on environmentalism, but he declines. After an accident in which Baker kills the entire population of the San Diego Zoo. Wow. His wife takes their daughter to live with her mother in Vermont to avoid the media attention. Yeah, because that kind of attention ain't going away. Baker descends into depression, and his son runs away, eventually ending up with an uncle, a lecherous predator. Baker goes to Vermont as well, where he finally meets the shaman. Meanwhile, Cody has been hired by Star Labs for his expertise, and while he uncovers a conspiracy involving one of the shamans, but is mentally trapped in cyberspace. Man, that sounds like a 90s made-for-TV movie, doesn't it? Alright. Let's see here. Baker continued to split his time between his family, his career as Animal Man, and regular stunt work for films. He occasionally lent his talents to various superhero groups, including the Justice League of America and the Forgotten Heroes, who played a prominent role in the Swamp Thing's task force, the Totems. This marked the reappearance of Buddy in costume and heralded his return to the mainstream DC universe, although his Vertigo appearances were clearly meant to take place inside the DC universe as well. He subsequently appeared alongside Aquaman, Hawkman, and the Resurrection Man. In Justice League of America number 27, and this was right around March of '99, Buddy officially joins the Justice League to battle a rampaging Amazo in the Florida Everglades. However, since Amazo was able to mimic the powers of any and all members of the League, they were only able to defeat Amazo by disbanding. Buddy does not stay for the reorganization though, and during the JLA crossover event, Animal Man's expertise in the morphogenic field, which is the M field, assists the League. Now, Animal Man also makes an appearance in the Identity Crisis limited series, helping to search for the murderer of Sue Dibney. Animal Man is also kept out of the spotlight during the OMAC project that was happening, and was very devastated when he heard the news that his good friend Rocket Red the 7th was killed by OMACs in Moscow. The two of them had been good friends since Justice League Europe. Back in the 80s, they both had families and got along quite well in the JLE. Now, after encountering danger signs from the animal world, Animal Man is recruited by Donna Troy as part of a team journeying to New Kronos to stop the Infinite Crisis, mirroring his role in Crisis on Infinite Earths, in which he journeyed into space with the Forgotten Heroes on Brainiac's ship. During this adventure, he formed a mentoring friendship with the new Firestorm, Jason Rush. Due to a malfunction of a Zeta beam, which Adam Strange deploys to return the team to Earth, Animal Man, along with most of the heroes, go missing after Infinite Crisis. Eventually, some of the heroes are recovered, but Animal Man, Adam Strange, and Starfire are still listed as being missing. They become core East Coast members of DC Weekly Series 52, which was awesome. I don't know if you guys ever knew about 52, but it was a new comic. They had planned this whole big storyline, and they put out a new comic for 52 each week for a year, hence the 52. It was pretty good. And I mean, it was a decent story too. Alright. In 52, Animal Man, Starfire, and Adam Strange are stranded on an alien planet. The trio escape but are pursued by bounty hunters. They're later joined by Lobo, and in issue 36, during a battle with Lady Styx and her horde, Animal Man is killed by a neurotoxin, which causes its victims to rise again in the service of Lady Styx. Animal Man makes Starfire promise not to let him come back as a zombie. He gestures to the reader saying, "Look, they're cheering us on. I told you the universe likes me." At the moment of his death, Ellen, still on Earth, senses his death and begins to cry. And Ellen is his wife, mother of his children, high school sweetheart, great lady all around. Alright, in issue number 37, moments after Starfire and Adam Strange leave Animal Man in space, Buddy comes back to life, because that's what they do. The aliens who originally granted him his powers stand next to him saying, and so it begins. After plucking him out of the time stream and repairing his body, they leave him in outer space. Animal Man must reach out to another life form to survive, and claims the abilities of a group of sun eaters, including their homing sense. He observes his wife from a wormhole in space provided by the aliens, only to discover that Ellen is seeing another man, though it's later revealed she only reluctantly went out with one of Buddy's friends. Yeah, that's reluctant. There are movies about stuff like that. You have to be 18 to watch them though, but they're out there. Sorry. Anyways, Buddy returns to Earth, describing the marvels of space to his delighted family. Ellen throws a party to celebrate his return, but some followers of Lady Styx appear bent upon killing the family. They're eliminated by Starfire, who has only partially recovered from wounds suffered in space. She delivers Buddy's jacket and faints from weakness and surprise when she sees him alive, leaving the family to care for her. Animal Man joined Adam Strange and Starfire in the series titled Countdown to Adventure, and this was written by Adam Beechin. The first issue reveals that his family has been caring for Starfire, who has still not regained her powers. Buddy convinces Ellen to let Starfire stay and act as a nanny for his two children. When a strange form of madness infects the people of San Diego, he and Starfire team up to stop it. Buddy's closeness to Starfire has made Ellen disgruntled, thinking that Buddy is in love with her. And it's Starfire, who we did a deep dive on, you should check it out. But it's Starfire. Who wouldn't be in love with Starfire? Like, she's awesome. She's an awesome character. But anyways, I'm not saying that he is. I'm just saying that she is very lovable in her naivety. Anyways, Buddy's powers have been in a state of flux, not working at all sometimes, and manifesting strange abilities at others, such as creating a whirlwind or firing energy beams. Once their extraterrestrial trip is done, Starfire leaves the Baker home, telling them that they will always be in her heart. In Justice League of America Volume 2, number 25, Buddy is drawn into Vixen's animal totem and captured by the trickster god Anansi, who claims to be the one who gave Buddy his powers, having disguised himself as the aliens while reminding Vixen and Button that he constantly lies. Okay, I'm just gonna let that sink in, because that's weird. Anansi also mentions that Buddy's new powers were a side effect of his manipulation of Earth's morphogenic field, or morphogenic field, whichever way you'd like to say it. I'm sure no one cares either way. After escaping the totem and defeating Anansi, Animal Man went back to the JLA headquarters to thank the JLA for their aid. The Black Canary and Wonder Woman told Buddy that there's a seat for him in the JLA if he wanted. He declined, choosing to focus on his family and remain a part-timer. Buddy used the JLA teleporter to return home to his wife and kids in San Diego. I keep wanting to say San Francisco. I'm getting ahead of myself. Anyways, Buddy appears in the second half of writer James Robinson's miniseries event, Justice League Cry for Justice. While he and his family are entertaining Starfire and Donna Troy, Buddy is approached by Mikhail Thomas and Kongorilla, who ask him for help in tracking down the supervillain Prometheus. He accompanies them to the JLA watchtower to seek help from the Justice League and is present when the Red Arrow is mauled by an unknown attacker. While searching for the Red Arrow's assailant, Buddy is assaulted and brutally injured by Freddie Freeman, who ultimately turns out to be Prometheus in disguise. Now, Prometheus, he was this guy that he defeated the Justice League because he had these cameras on his helmet, and he would record the Justice League fighting and analyze their moves on CD-ROMs, because that was the technology back then when he came out. And he would defeat them like Batman would, like single-handedly. How he imitates Freddie Freeman, who is Captain Marvel Jr., he's the blue Captain Marvel. How he imitates that is beyond me. Because even with the technology, you know, Freddie Freeman, it just doesn't make sense. Like, I can see people imitating their powers with machinery or armor. But when you see someone hitting you and you're like, oh man, that's Freddie Freeman, that's Captain Marvel Jr., and they're like, nope, guess what? It's not. It makes me wonder what they did to Prometheus. I might have to actually do a deep dive on him. Would you guys like that? Actually, would you like supervillain deep dives? Let me know about that. Because I'd be interested. I would be interested in doing that. Alright, anyways. During the finale, Buddy is seen helping Starfire and Firestorm rescue survivors after Star City is destroyed by Prometheus. Man, Prometheus a bad mamma jamma. Alright, during the Blackest Night event, Necron, the Lord of the Dead, reveals that all those who have returned from the dead, such as Buddy, were allowed to do so to become his inside agents. A black power ring attaches itself to Buddy, canceling out his resurrection and transforming him into a Black Lantern. In the final battle, Animal Man is freed by the power of white light. In the New 52, Buddy Baker has returned to his role as an environmental activist and actor. After his daughter Maxine manifests powers of her own, they journey into the Red, where they learn that Maxine must fight a battle between the Red and the Rot. Okay. The Baker family travels cross-country to unite with Swamp Thing. Buddy's son Cliff sacrifices himself in the battle with the Rot. I don't know what the Rot is, to be honest. I'm assuming it's like death and decay, whereas the red is animal, like the morphogenic field, because they call the green the plant life field, you know, the flora and fauna and stuff. So that's just deducing it. Alright. Animal Man appears as a member of the Justice League of America. After the events in Justice League United, Animal Man takes a break to take care of his family. As he does. Because he's pretty awesome. In 2017, after the events depicted in the series DC Rebirth, Animal Man became a reserve member of the new Justice League. He helped the Justice League alongside other new reserve members like Adam Strange and the Swamp Thing, and in the aftermath of the Justice League No Justice series, Animal Man's name was mentioned in the new Justice League series by Wonder Woman. Animal Man was seen helping Vixen fix the Earth alongside the rest of the Justice League, and he was later seen helping the Justice League fight the Legion of Doom and protecting a doorknob key from getting into the hands of Legion. Or getting in the hands of the Legion of Doom, I'm sorry. Animal Man was laterally seen with the rest of the Justice League Dark, and the Teen Titans at a get-together party at the Hall of Justice. So he's getting around, he's getting stuff done. Animal Man was summoned, along with the JLA, the Teen Titans, and the JSA by Batman to fix the Source Wall in anticipation of a forthcoming war across the multiverse. Animal Man then assisted those teams in a cross-universe battle to defeat Perpetua and Lex Luthor's Legion of Doom. During the Dark Knight's death metal storyline, Animal Man was among the prisoners in New Apocalypse after the Batman Who Laughs and his Dark Knights took over Prime Earth. They were freed when Wonder Woman, Batman, and Harley Quinn rescued Superman from the control of Darkfather, and during the hero's fight with Robin King, Animal Man accompanied Red Tornado and Blue Beetle in his battle against Robin King. There he sprayed Red Tornado with the Mortal Coil chemical that caused him to spin out of control. Robin King summoned the anti-living versions of Animal Man's family who start to devour him, and when the final effect of the Mortal Coil turned a still spinning Red Tornado into a human who ripped apart, shrapnel from his explosive death struck Animal Man, wounding him fatally. Batman later revived him using a Black Lantern ring. Wow, that's so much going on with that. It's so much, I can't even keep up with it. Now, during the events of Infinite Future storylines in issue number 2 of Batman and Superman, Batman called for Animal Man to help out animals that were in pain due to Professor Pye's malicious experiments on them. Animal Man then featured in a small cameo in Wonder Woman 780. Animal Man and other Justice League members were in the cafeteria having lunch. They were surprised to see Wonder Woman walk past them, and she had returned to the Justice League following the events of Dark Knight's Death Metal storyline series. In the Swamp Thing series called Green Hell issue number 2, it was revealed that Animal Man had died, and his widow Ellen, who was in her 80s at the time, and daughter Maxine, who is now called Animal Woman, are living in Nanda Parbat with the animals. Dr. Fate moved them there because of the safety of the Baker family following Buddy Baker's death. Old John Constantine with Deadman was looking for Maxine because there was another War of the Rock coming, and they need Maxine's help to fill her late father's shoes. Maxine did not want to see them at all after what happened with her father's tragic death, and Maxine told John and Boston Brand, who is Deadman, that the animals can feel the pain of what is happening in the red, while the green needs its help to stop the war from Anton Arcane from happening all over again. So that's kind of a crazy history. Like, he's been all over the place. He's been fighting across the galaxy, like, here and back again. But what do you guys think? Like, it's a pretty cool sounding character, right? Let me know in the comments. Like I said, you can catch me on X and Instagram under Super Deep Dive. Use the hashtag Superhero Deep Dive a lot of times. You can catch me on TikTok at Superhero Deep Dive. I'm also on YouTube under Superhero Deep Dive, where you can comment, like, subscribe, share. You can leave questions, comments, facts I may have missed, ideas for the character that you have, or requests for future episodes. And if you don't want to do that, I get emails frequently. Please feel free to email me. It's not a problem at all. My email address is b4itall, so b4itall@yahoo.com. Alright, so let's get into his powers. Because there's a bit here. And you have to remember, he was written with this like comic sense. So it's very obvious that there's some humor in his character, okay? Alright. Buddy can mimic the abilities of any animal as a result of his encounter with the crashed alien spacecraft. He does this by either focusing on a specific animal near him, or, as he learns later, by drawing power from the animal kingdom in general, which enables him to even mimic animals that are extinct. The nature of these powers has been described in various ways, including the superficial alien radiation explanation of his early appearances, and the reconstruction of his body by aliens with morphogenetic graphs at the cellular level, and currently mystical access to a morphogenetic field created by all living creatures, also known as the Red. He does not grow wings to fly as a bird, and instead he flies in the classic Superman style. Nor does he form gills to breathe underwater when mimicking a fish, but he has occasionally been known to mimic the actual appearances of animals, such as adopting the claws of a wolverine temporarily, or his metamorphosis towards the end of Delano's run on his series. Among the animal powers Buddy has been known to use is the strength of a T-Rex, the flight of a bird, the swimming ability of a fish, the speed of an ant. Are ants fast? Maybe proportionally? The reflexes of a fly, the eloquence of a parrot, the wall crawling of a spider, the sonic blast of a pistol shrimp, the sense of smell of a moth, I don't know, the stench of a skunk, the color changing of a chameleon, the agility of a snake, the playfulness of a kitten, that's probably one of your joke powers, the electricity of an electric eel and electric ray, the ability of a worm to regrow lost body parts, the righteous anger of a mother bear, the bark of a large dog. See, some of these, it's really weird. The reproduction abilities of a protozoa. Maybe that's why he's got 2 kids. He could have more if he wanted. I don't know. The durability of a cockroach. Ew. The ability to fire lightning from his face from an unidentified alien creature. The beauty of a monarch butterfly. The smell of a hippopotamus. Not the sense of smell, just the smell. He smelled like a hippopotamus. The napping ability of a cat. I tell you, I could really go for that. But some of these powers, they just make no sense. I want the beauty of a monarch butterfly. But don't change anything about my looks. I just want it. Anyways. The level of Buddy's ability is proportional to the size of the animal they are drawn from. Hence, drawing the jumping ability from a flea would allow him to cover great distances. However, taking the abilities of a larger animal does not result in diminished power for him. In some appearances, he can also talk to animals and enter their minds. Tapping into the Red, Animal Man can also fire blasts of force or identified energy. In cooperation with Vixen and the woman known as Tristis, he helped to create an entire universe. Wow. In 52, Buddy experiences an upgrade that allows him to connect to the universe's morphogenetic field, providing him unlimited access to all animals in the universe regardless of origin. At first, Animal Man knew nothing about the alien creatures whose ability he took, but later has ample knowledge. Wow, it's a pretty cool power set. You can take traits of any animal alive or dead. And then if you're on an alien planet, you can tap into that one. It's crazy. Alright, fun facts. Animal Man appears in the Mad segment. That's what Super Friends are for. He also appears in a self-titled segment of DC Nation Shorts, voiced by Weird Al Yankovic. That's a pretty cool voiceover. This version focuses on rescuing animals instead of people. Alright, Animal Man makes appearances in the Teen Titans Go episode, Forest Pirates. He also makes an appearance in DC Superhero Girls, Superhero High School, and Teen Titans Go to the Movies. He also appears in DC Universe Online, and he appears as a character summon in Scribblenauts Unmasked, a DC Comics adventure. He also appears in Justice League Unlimited number 29, and he makes a cameo appearance in DC Superhero Girls as a graduate of Superhero High. Animal Man also appears in Injustice 2. This version can shapeshift into animals, and he initially supports Ra's al Ghul and the League of Assassins until Damian Wayne convinces him otherwise via Ra's use of a Mazo to wreak havoc on humanity. Animal Man then tries to escape the League's custody, but is killed by Ra's daughter, Anastasia Al Ghul. So it's pretty cool. They got him going around. But let me get into my final thoughts on the character, because this character, he's pretty cool. All right, there's something about Animal Man that's like really, really cool to me, and I know I've said that a lot, and I'm sorry. But it is. You know, he has this look that's awesome. But the thing about him is he just doesn't stand out a lot against other heroes. And he's so in the background of things that you never really miss him because you don't end up thinking about him at all. But let's take a look at his power set. Like, you can tell that some of these traits he's picked up are purely comedic and nonsensical, but he is awesome nonetheless. So I was thinking, what would be good? What would be good for this character? He's, personality-wise, he's relatively simple. It just seems like an easygoing guy. Then it kind of hit me, you know. I would love to see Animal Man in an African or South American setting, to be honest. Like let's have him in the rainforest, being a universal protector against like the logging industry or whatever they still do down there. And please forgive my ignorance. It's just, I know for a while that was like the hot button. You know, but he can also be in the African jungles, protecting all the different tribesmen against the strip mining that they do, or the diamond mining, because that's still popular, especially the strip mining, because that's how they're getting the lithium for these electric vehicles and for our cell phones and stuff. You know, they're pulling out these rare minerals. So what if he is someone of those respective cultures? It doesn't have to be a white guy with blonde hair. You know, that's great in the comics. Doesn't have to be that. Because the character is gonna essentially be the same. Like, he's gonna be this guy that's out helping, almost like a universal character for them. But the Portuguese word for animals, which would be popular in South America, because, you know, Brazil, they speak Portuguese. The Portuguese word for animal is animaeus, which could be what he's called against the tribesmen of that area. Or in Afrikaans, I hope I said that correct, but it's deer, D-I-E-R, dire. So he could be that guy. He could be the animal. You know, either way, it could be a really cool story to see someone that's accepted by all the tribes of that area, like a neutral character, and his sole goal is to protect them from the outside. Like, they can still quarrel amongst themselves if they want, because, you know, I think that's still fairly common. You know, if you go into someone's territory, it causes conflict. I could be wrong. Sorry. You know, I'm going by limited research to prepare the episode. But from outsiders, you know, he's got them covered. Animal Man has them covered. He can be seen as like a spiritual being, revered as a totem for the gods, or totem of the gods, but not actually a god himself. And they can be shown people can be seen like leaving offerings of fruit and vegetables, because, you know, he can still be vegetarian. So we can see that in both scenarios, whether it's in Africa or in South America. We can see that working. So it would work either way. But what we're seeing with this is this being that's actually being fueled by the past, taking on what looks like the future. You know, he is this guy. He can be someone nominated from all the tribes, kind of like the whole Black Panther thing, where anyone has a right to challenge him. It could be that. You know, so we have one main warrior from all the tribes that's taken on this role. And he's taken on these people that are hurting the environment, that are hurting people around them. There are reports, especially with like with the logging industry, that there were animals that were on the verge of extinction. You know, in Africa with the mining, there are reports of like children being taken and forced to work. So, you know, it could be either one of these things. But the cool thing about this is it's out of the way from the other DC characters. So he doesn't have to be bothered with that. And we can have some really cool shots of the terrain and action sequences, things like that. It can give some insight into whatever religious beliefs or cultural happenings there are in the tribes of that area versus mainly what is seen in Western cultures. You know, it can just help us expand our mind and understanding. This could be a great thing for DC, almost like their version, in essence, of Black Panther. It's a hero story with a cultural piece to it as well. So come on, DC, like, let's get this going, because I could see this being done like now. And when I say now, I mean after, you know, the writer's strike gets corrected and, you know, everything is back to normal. But I could see this happening. But I want to know what you think. What do you think of my idea? Do you think it holds water? Do you have a different idea for Animal Man? Would you like to see something more comedic? If so, let me know. If you do like my idea, or even if you have your own, who would you cast? I would love to hear your casting choices. Because remember, like, Buddy Baker, his race wasn't so important to his character. So we can literally cast him as anyone. You know? And there are always gonna be people that complain. My take on it personally, and this is just my personal opinion, as your local superhero deep diver, if it's important to the character itself, then race is important. If it's not important to the character, then race is not important. It can be whoever. You know, there's a balance with stuff like that. But let me know what you think. Like I said, you can catch me on X and Instagram under Super Deep Dive. You can catch me on TikTok and YouTube under Superhero Deep Dive. If you catch me, please like the channel, subscribe, like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment, help me grow. I would really appreciate it. I'm so close to being like official. And that's kind of my goal. So I couldn't do it without you guys. I still can't do it without you guys. So I need your help. And you can always email me directly as well. It's B4 so B4itall at yahoo.com. The only thing I really ask is that you're respectful. I love having conversations with people. I love hearing your ideas. I've had that happen a few times. I love going back and forth. As long as we're respectful, we may not agree on things. And if you don't agree, tell me why. Because that's how we grow, right? Like, don't just say, like, oh, this is a bad idea. Present one of your own. Tell me something that you would like to see. Because maybe your idea is 1,000,000 times better. I'm all about it. But I think this is going to do it for me now. I hope everyone is blessed. I hope everyone's happy. I hope everyone is safe. I hope everyone is smart. But if you're not smart, don't get caught. See you guys next week with another Superhero Deep Dive. Bye-bye, guys.